It is Monday, September 30th, 2024. This is another edition of Baseball Today, presented to you by Booking.com, Booking.yeah. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan along for the ride as well. What are you giggling about, man?
We got a new, look at this.
I know. The graphics look amazing.
What is it, graphic? Yeah, we got a new graphic.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Give more of your face.
No, well, that's not as good. Here, I'll do the show like this, then. That'll make everybody happier. Let us know what you think in the comments section.
It does look nice.
Yeah. It does look, Dan Rourke loves it. And I do too. I think it looks very cool. So we're very excited about it.
Okay.
The regular season's almost finished. We're not quite there.
It's finished. It's finished.
It's not finished. We're almost there.
Ridiculous what's happening right now.
We got a ton of stuff to cover. Let's get to it. First of all, with a tip of the cap. I didn't think I'd be mentioning Stone Garrett's name right out the bat. But a year ago, broke his leg with the Washington Nationals. He came back in his first at bat. He hit a homer, which was awesome. After the game, they talked to him and they said, "Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to?" Here we go.
My parents, my mom came to stay with me for 3 weeks. She went to go get me food, man. She took care of me.
I mean, there's a mama's boy right there. That's a mama's boy.
You don't have to be a mama's boy. He just loves his mom. That's okay.
Yeah, that's great.
Moms always take care of you for like your life, which is, when you think about it, it's actually pretty cool.
It is. It is great. I thought it was a touching moment. We haven't talked a ton about the Nats. I thought that was nice to kind of squeeze them in there before the season.
I like Stone Garrett.
Yeah, I know you do.
I'm happy for him.
All right, we still don't have our National League matchups in round one. That's because the Mets and the Braves will have a doubleheader in Atlanta. It's the old 3 to make 2. Braves, Mets, Diamondbacks all did just enough to force that double dip on Monday.
Darno hits it out to center field. It's deep, and it's gone! Travis d'Arnaud with the biggest home run of the Braves season, and they walk it off. 3-2. He struck him out, and the ball game is over. The Mets finally beat the Brewers in their final try. And in all probability, they will be heading to Atlanta tomorrow, needing to win one more game. Backs up Walker. Now he covers. Diamondbacks win it 11-2. They've done what they can do.
Yep. So the Diamondbacks are left being spectators like the rest of us on Monday. Here's the deal. If the Braves and Mets split, both those teams get in. Atlanta would end up being the 5 seed because they won the season series against New York. They'll head to San Diego. The Mets would head to Milwaukee. If one team sweeps, that team is then the 5 seed. And the Diamondbacks will be the 6th seed. So, holy smokes, we got Schwellenbach and we got McGill going in game 1. The Braves are saving Chris Sale for game 2 against Luis Severino. How the heck would you feel if you were a fan of any of these 3 teams right now?
I hate this, Chris.
I really do. About it.
Usually, I love chaos, usually, but I think Major League Baseball royally screwed this up. I really think they did, and especially for the Diamondbacks. I think this whole thing stinks for the Diamondbacks. All of a sudden, these 2 teams, the Mets and the Braves, have basically hindsight to look at. Okay, all we have to do is win one of these games apiece. Whoever wins game 1 tomorrow morning or today, TV magic. What are they going to do in game 2? They are going to step off of the gas, pull the brakes. They're not going to do anything in game 2. No important pitcher is going to pitch. I think it stinks for the Diamondbacks. I really, really do. They should have played this at a neutral site or tried to move the games up when they saw the weather was coming. Like, they should have done something, because then at least they would have played these 2 games with, like, in a real setting. Like, they were supposed to try to win both of them. Now it's just, let's win one of these games. Whoever wins the first game tomorrow, the rest of the high leverage relievers, the starters, no one's going to go. It's going to be a not even a real baseball game.
That's not true.
In my opinion. I really think that, Chris. I know you have to play somebody. Like, there's going to be guys playing there, but they're not trying their hardest, are they?
Okay.
They won't be.
Guess what? The Padres had nothing to play for on Saturday. They threw a guy who had bounced in between the major league club and the minor league club all season long. He'd been back like 18 times, and he almost no-hit the Diamondbacks, a team that needed to win. So I don't feel bad for the Diamondbacks at all, because guess what? Take care of your own business. Take care of your own business.
I just don't think I get that. I understand that. And you know what? Anything can happen in the game of baseball.
Yes, it can.
I understand that. But I just don't think these two games are going to be played to their fullest capability.
But isn't that
And you
the
can't
beauty?
argue that.
But isn't that the beauty? Whoever wins game one has the ability to just set their
I don't think
playoff
that's
roster.
beautiful. I don't.
Hold on here.
I'm happy we're having this discussion. And like I said, usually I do love chaos, but this is like, I just want teams to be able to like fully go after these games. And it's not going to happen.
Well, it's going to happen in game one. And then think of how much pressure is going to be on the team in game two. Think of how much pressure. Now, if it ends up that Atlanta loses game one and Chris Sale has to pitch for their season being on the line, yes, I like Atlanta big time. But if the Mets end up losing game one and now it's up to Luis Severino and Atlanta's going to throw whomever they want out there, whatever. But it's like, to me, that's fun. I think that's.
I don't know. You're talking about fun when the Diamondbacks are sitting there like, what is going on?
Well, they blew.
If somebody sweeps tomorrow, I will be ecstatic. I will think that's awesome. So I guess like I'm changing my tune a little bit. I don't know, man. So for some reason, I'm just like, these teams are going to split the doubleheader, and the Diamondbacks will be sitting at home being like, man, I get it. It's 162. Got to take care of your own business. But imagine being a Diamondback player, understanding that these games, I don't know.
Would you rather be a fan that has your team playing, or would you rather be a fan of the Diamondbacks? Which one's more excruciating?
Oh, I think the Diamondbacks for sure. For sure.
Do you even watch the first game if you're a Diamondbacks fan? Because, I mean, you're just rooting for whomever won the first game to win the second game.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, there's no other games on tomorrow. So, yeah, you're watching.
I think you're rooting for Atlanta to win the first because Sale would be such a heavy favorite in the second. I think that's what you're rooting for is my guess. You know what you're really rooting for? If you're a Padres fan, you're rooting for the Mets to win the first. And then I don't know what you'd be rooting for.
There's a lot of stuff going on right now.
There is a
lot
of
of this, huh?
Oh, I do. I think it's great.
You don't think they messed it up?
I don't know, man. I mean, they could have pulled those games from Atlanta. I understand it sucks for the Braves if they would have lost the most important series of the year from their homestand. But yeah, they could have played it. They could have played it elsewhere. They could have moved out of town. I don't know exactly where they could have.
Isn't there a dome somewhere in Atlanta?
Yeah, they could have
played.
Not yet in Atlanta. They could have played in some warehouse, probably. You know,
I don't know. Actually, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just saying, man. It's different. Okay. That changed a lot of things, Chris. That changed the landscape of.
I know it did.
The season.
All right, so give me the two wild card teams.
Mets and Braves.
So they're splitting Monday.
I think so. Look, again, I would love if someone swept the doubleheader tomorrow and all of a sudden the Diamondbacks are in. I just don't think it's going to happen.
When I saw that McGill was starting game one for the Mets, I was like, whoa. But
everyone's trying to save their pitchers. They got to go the next day.
They're not save anybody. You don't have anything to save it for. I mean, they have pushed Chris Sale back. The Braves have pushed Chris Sale back as far as they can until there's elimination game. So they're either going to use him in game 162, and then he won't pitch in the wild card series against the Padres, or they'll use him in game one against the Padres. It's fascinating stuff. And by the way, McGill has pitched his ass off. September in ERA under 2.
I like him.
Yeah, that's really good stuff. All right, we're going to move it on to the American League where those playoff matchups are set. 3-6, you've got Houston and Detroit. The 4-5 matchup is going to be Baltimore playing host to
My Twins didn't make it?
I know. I'm sorry to break.
They didn't make it?
Is that breaking news? Breaking news into the Baseball Today newsroom?
Never bunts in the 13th inning.
Stop. This is not Twins Today. It's called Baseball Today. And let's talk about the Tigers. They make the playoffs for the first time in a decade after an unreal sprint to the finish.
Fly ball, right center field. Perez got it! The Tigers, for the first time in 10 years, are
Special teams do special things, and we got an opportunity to do something special. We ask a lot out of you guys all year. All year we've asked a lot out of you guys to do something for the guy next to you. And when I asked you in the middle of the season, remember I asked you, what kind of team do you want to be? I guess you wanted to be a playoff team.
I have to say this, AJ Hinch, that might have been the delivery of the year. It was
That's pretty good. He had that one in the hip, in the holster.
Pretty good.
Good delivery. I liked it.
How did we get here?
Wow. First of all, hold on. Before we get into all this, did anybody have like the greatest change in location
Ever?
than Jason Benetti?
Nope. Never.
It's crazy. You
But
went from the White Sox,
Yeah.
who you would have had to go and call 122 losses this year, and instead you get this 32-12 or whatever the heck it was, magical playoff run. Jason Benetti, tip of the cap. That's who it should have been. Sorry, Stone Garrett.
By the way, best free agent pickup of the season, I think, too.
Oh my!
He's so good at his job. So
okay,
good.
how did we get here? I don't really know. I think it's. How about this? You don't get here without a guy like Tarek Skubal winning the Triple Crown. I know we're going to talk about like the new age pitching that's going on with this team, with the Brewers, with your team. I talked about that. We talked about that before the season, I think. I said, I think pitching is going to go a certain way where we're not looking for guys to go deep into ball games. We're going to have a bunch of guys that can throw 3 innings or 2 innings on the team. It's essentially what the Tigers have done. But obviously, having Skubal, a 239, 228 Ks, 18 wins, all these things, I mean, that helps immensely. So, I don't like to give credit to managers necessarily, and especially I have a feeling about AJ Hinch. I know I think he's respected around the game. I think he's also, like, there's a lot of questions around him. Obviously, his deal with the Astros, I think he played a huge part in it. But he has done a phenomenal job handling this pitching and being able to pull the right strings. I mean, they pinch hit like almost more than anybody in all of baseball. I've seen my Twins do it. They didn't do a good job of it. Tigers have done a good job with it, finding the matchups. I think handling that pitching staff, he's done an incredible job there. So that's one of the reasons we got there. You could name Kerry Carpenter coming back and being an absolute stud. I mean, the lineup up and down has had some guys, come through. Ryder Green's had a great season. Torkelson, obviously, up and down, has been much better in the second half. I do want to give a shout out to one more guy, then I'll let you talk. Tyler Holton.
Yep, great.
Last 2 years combined, he's like a reliever, sometimes starter guy. 179 2/3 innings pitched to a 2.15 for the Tigers. He basically had this season that he had last year, but no one cared because the Tigers stunk. That's how you get here. You have guys like that step up for you. So I don't know. A lot of things happened for the Tigers, and man, it happened fast, Chris.
Yeah, it was mostly their bullpen. So it was mostly Tarek Skubal and their bullpen. Montero, certainly, him figuring it out.
My guy. I knew it.
Yeah, you said this. But him finding out where the strike zone is was critical because Skubal needed a running mate. Reese Olson pitched really well the first half of the year, but he got banged up. He didn't have a lot of wins to show for it, but he pitched well. And then once they traded Flaherty, I was like, well, who's going to throw for them? So their bullpen is outstanding. Bo Brisky is another guy who found a great role for them. I'll be curious to see if Jackson Jobe can get on this playoff roster. Once again, they have to petition the league. If he gets out there, look out. And I'm going to tell you this. The Houston Astros, they're going to be the favorite in that series, and we'll break it down when we do our playoff preview on Tuesday's show. That'll come out very early as well. But they're not going to be happy to face Skubal in game 1 and then have to deal with that bullpen, too. They're not going to be scared of anybody, but I can't imagine that they want to deal with the hottest team in the American League over the last 2 months.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, anytime you are facing a bullpen game, back in the day, you were like, okay, this is great. I don't think people feel that way anymore with the way bullpens, these guys throw in the bullpen and the stuff they have and the pitch mixes they were able to create out of nowhere. I will say this. I have to say Matt Vierling's name because I love him. He's my favorite player on the Tigers. So shout out Matt Vierling. Solid year. But like we're going to talk about this next team, Tigers also hit with runners in scoring position. That's the secret sauce, Chris.
Yeah,
seventh,
though, dude.
Seventh in all in baseball, 788 OPS with runners in scoring position.
Yeah, that comes and goes. And in playoff baseball, man, you're facing such good pitching.
That's a huge part of being a good team. The top 7 teams in OPS this year with runners in scoring position. Number 1 is the Diamondbacks, who are hating life right now. 852 OPS. But the next 6 teams are all playoff teams. So,
by the way, the Diamondbacks might be a playoff team.
They should be.
They should be. This episode of Baseball Today is brought to you by Booking.com, the official accommodation partner of Major League Baseball. Booking.com, yeah. Baseball playoffs, one day away. It's time to explore those U.S. cities you always secretly wanted to learn more about. Yeah, we're talking about your baseball rival cities. With hotels and bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more available on Booking.com, you might just find the perfect stay for this postseason, even in your baseball rival cities. I'll tell you this. I have gone to hundreds of playoff baseball games. I've had the good fortune of covering them. There is nothing, I will repeat, nothing like seeing your favorite team play on the road in the fall. It is awesome. Because if you win, you're like one of 1,000 people, maybe, probably less, that's like screaming at the top of their lungs, go do this. Go find a place to stay, courtesy of Booking.com. It's awesome. They got hotels that overlook stadiums. They got family-friendly resorts. They got cute bed and breakfast. Booking.com has so many choices across this great country of ours. And the right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city. So, yes, even your baseball rivals. Book today on Booking.com. Download the Booking.com app and enjoy your stay on the road in the month of October. Kansas City Royals will be on the road. They'll be in Baltimore for a 3-game wild card set. Last season, they had the second worst record in the American League and in baseball, 56-106. And guess what? They're partying for the first time since they won it all 9 years ago. Right, John Schreiber?
I mean, it's fantastic. For everybody in Kansas City, it's the best.
Congratulations. We got the GM on the field. I think we better go.
I know. I think my wife is watching at home.
Give her a shout out.
Rebecca. Becca, I love you. Charlie, my son, I love him. Let's keep going.
Becca.
Not Rebecca.
Not Rebecca.
Don't you call me that.
Yeah. Usually you don't get guys that are I don't want to say he was inebriated necessarily, but he was a little closer to that than being sober. So that was kind of
if there was a time to be inebriated,
go for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard not to be.
Yeah, go enjoy. You're an adult. You're getting on a team bus afterward. It's fun.
There's nothing better.
Yeah. So what has impressed you most about Kansas City's season? And Bobby Witt Jr. cannot be the answer.
It's okay. There's a lot that impressed me about him. I think it's roster construction. That's probably my answer.
Mm-hmm.
But with like the Tiger just talked about, it's like we're thinking about the Royals and we'll talk about their rotation and maybe they're hitting with runs in scoring position and, Sal and Vinny having big years production wise, but you have to mention Bobby Witt Jr. turning into like one of the best players in all of baseball. Like that has impressed me a lot. And he is a huge reason why they're there. But if you're to answer your question without using Bobby Witt Jr., I think it's roster construction. So I think you have to give how do you say his name? Piccolo, right? AJ?
I don't think that's how we say it, but I could be wrong.
I think it is because I listened to I actually went and looked at a video, and is it Lana Rizzo? That's what she said.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So if she's wrong, then we're wrong. How about that?
Probably right. Lana probably got it right.
Okay. I think it's roster construction, man. And the ability to do it under the radar. I mean, you talk about the starting rotation. Seth Lugo, what is it? It's a 3-year 45.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Wacha, 2-year 32. You got Cole Reagans for Aroldis Chapman, who you signed for 1 year 375 to the Texas Rangers. Like, this roster construction is nuts, Chris. You went and got Michael Lorenzen for nothing, and he's pitched great. Like, all these under the radar moves are what has impressed me the most, because I didn't give two thoughts about this rotation coming into the season. I said, hey, I like the Royals trying. Like, their offseason seems fun. Like, they're adding players. It's great. But I didn't think anything of them. And here they are looking like the best moves of the offseason. So I think that's what's impressed me the most. And when you had a need at the trade deadline, you went out and got Lucas Ercich. So, like, I think you have to give the front office a lot of credit for the Royals turnaround this year.
And ownership. I think when teams win 56 games in a year, they're not like, okay, you know what? That's on me. We got to pony up for better players. Not every ownership group thinks that way. We know several that are going to go the opposite direction. Just say, yeah, we're not going to compete for a few years. And I think that they were sick of this. It had been 9 years since that magical run of back-to-back World Series appearances and winning it all for the first time in 3 decades in 2015. And then slowly but surely, they lose all those guys except for Salvador Perez. And they hit the shitter, man. They were a bad, bad team. Horrible. And this year, they went out. You talk about them fortifying the rotation. Trevor, their team ERA last year was over 5. They were a top 8 team this year. That is a remarkable turnaround. Remarkable. In fact, for a long time this year, we felt like they had the best rotation in the American League, right?
Tell me I'm wrong here, but I think they finished second in ERA for their starters.
I think that's real possible. Real possible. And when they weren't as good in certain areas, you mentioned it, they had to get better in the bullpen. They knew that if they were going to make this run, and they struggled down the stretch. What'd they lose? 7 in a row in September? Twice. Yeah. So it wasn't all pretty.
I think it's 51 and 52 since June. Like, they haven't played great baseball. They had a couple good months early on, but here they are.
Once you put wins in the bank, they can't take them away. So it's good. I think that'll be an interesting series. I think there's deficiencies for both these teams. So I think it could be a fascinating series. All right, let's get to a bunch of quick hitters throughout baseball that happened over the weekend. We have to spend a ton of time on these, but I think interesting stuff. Start with Luis Ariz, who prevented Shohei from winning the Triple Crown in the National League. Becomes the first player to win 3 straight batting titles with 3 different teams. Is that fact cool or not?
It is cool. I do like it. I still think hitting for average is fun, and it puts you in a good mood as a hitter. Doesn't matter if you're slugging or your on base percentage isn't that much higher than your batting average. I mean, getting a hit every single game is awesome. And especially, in an era where batting average has really left the focal point of, offensive output, which I understand. I get it. I'm not like a huge proponent of batting average. I think it's still important. I think it's harder to have it than ever. I think it's harder to hit for average than maybe it's ever been. And so I think it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about who he got traded for, he went from Minnesota to Miami and ended up getting traded for the Twins' best pitcher, whom they ended up extending. Then Miami started getting rid of guys, and they just dumped him early in the season. So that's not that big a deal. Now, I don't know what he ends up getting in free agency when he's done in San Diego, but he works on certain teams, and I think he works great on San Diego in terms of setting things up and giving guys a tough at bat and not striking out and putting the ball in play and all that sort of stuff. So
I think that's where, like, his value lies for me, is just the at bats, the quality of the at bats. Seeing pitches, fouling them off, like just grinding a pitcher down. I think you can't really put like a value on that. Or maybe you can. You can value everything. I think like you mentioned, it really works in that offense.
Yes. Your Twins said that Derek Falvey, Rocco Baldelli, so a decision maker, an architect, and the man in the dugout are coming back despite a piss-poor finish. Are you surprised?
I don't think I'm surprised. I think that all those guys are like good buddies and friends, and I think they have a winning formula there. There was some injuries to talk about, at the end of the year. They were relying on a lot of unproven starters, and Some injuries to like their best players. Like Royce Lewis didn't play that much this year. When he did, I think they kind of zooed handling. I don't know. There's a lot of things I didn't like about the Twins this year. I got to be honest with you. But I didn't think for a second that Rocco was going to get fired. I do think that they need to change up a lot of the philosophy that they have going on there.
I'm not surprised, but I'm.
And by the way, that could change at any given moment.
Of course
they
it
could
can.
say that right now.
I mean, this is a report.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean
Yeah.
I am surprised that they're not making a move. And
I mean, can I say this about Ryan Jeffers, like popping up a bunt and then Carlos Santana getting doubled off in the game they had to win against the Marlins? You can't ask him to bunt right there. He has bunted one time all year long. If you want guys to bunt them during the season. You can't just do that. I think that now you're getting me started on my Twins. That's a problem that Rocco has that I think they need to figure out. A philosophical issue is that they think everybody can do everything. They can play everywhere. They can hit in any spot in the lineup. They can all of a sudden pull a bunt out of their hat. Like some guys are versatile.
Right.
Not everyone is versatile. Not everyone can pinch hit.
We'll see you next year, Rocco.
Thank you.
Cleveland and Houston rained out on Sunday, so that means Jose Ramirez ends up one homer shy of the second ever season of 40-40-40. That's homers, stolen bases, and doubles. How much does that suck? He didn't get a shot.
It sucks a lot, Chris. It sucks a lot. I love me some Jose Ramirez, and I know a lot of people like to call him the most underrated player in baseball, so it kind of gets annoying. But it might be true, Chris.
The thing is, you don't appreciate a guy like that unless you see him every day.
Yeah, I appreciate him.
Yeah, I mean, people, they look at his numbers, they're like, wow, those are some great numbers. But he's a fast.
You ask somebody to name the top 10 like offensive players in baseball, and I don't think he gets mentioned.
Probably not. But he just does. He does bring tremendous balance. Switch hitter, can run still. It does suck. Speaking of which,
it sucks a lot.
White Sox chairman Jerry Reinsdorf called this season, quote, a failure, embarrassing, and unacceptable in a letter to fans. Shouldn't Chicago fans feel better now?
What's the point of that letter? Why would you write that letter?
This is the second time. Well, you were all for the John Fisher letter to A's fans. Yeah, you were like, well, what's he supposed to do? He's got to write a letter.
I didn't say he had to write a letter. I said what he said, like what's he supposed to say? And it wasn't even him that wrote the letter. I'm sure that Jerry Reinsdorf didn't write this letter either. It's fun to think about that. Jerry Reinsdorf
penning a
paper
letter
out. He's like, you know what? It's just.
Do you think he posted it on social media? Do you think he hit send on X?
That's interesting. You know what? I feel like in this digital era that we live in, the letter's over. Like, get in front of a camera and say your piece so we know it's you.
Do you appreciate a written letter, like a thank you note?
I do. If you actually write it. My friend Javi Sanchez, who I played with some pro ball now, he's have you met him before? I think you have. I'll introduce you. Okay. He's a great guy, and he's a big handwritten note guy. And I think it goes a long way. That's why I still say like yes sir to like some elders, because I think like respect begets respect. Similar
I know
with the handwritten letters.
I will say this: there was a great piece. Go find it somewhere. I want to say that maybe ESPN did it on Peyton Manning. I think he still does this. He writes letters to guys who retire, and I know I talked to John Lynch, now the GM, the Hall of Fame safety, GM of the Niners. He said that Peyton wrote him a congratulatory retirement letter talking about how much he always loved competing against him and stuff like that. Like, I think that's kind of cool.
I like that. That. All right, Peyton. Okay.
And I'm pretty sure that the people in the 3,000 Hit Club write everybody else who joins the club a letter welcoming them. You like that one?
I'm just jealous.
Well,
I was around all these Hall of Famers, obviously this summer.
Yeah.
And man, they just really live it up.
It's a different level, isn't it?
They really live it up, and they think they are awesome, and they are.
I love that. I love that. Want to thank our buddies from SeatGeek for sponsoring today's video. So we got baseball season. We're getting to the playoffs. That's awesome. It's the official ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball. It's the best place to buy tickets. Why? They're looking out for you. They want you to get the best deal. They rate every ticket on a scale of 1 to 10, so you know exactly when you're getting a good deal. Plus, they color code it. So if you're into this, green dot, good. Red dot, bad. Here's something good for you. Everybody can use the code TODAY10 for 10% off any tickets on SeatGeek, whether you're a brand new customer or a returning one. No matter how many times you bought tickets using SeatGeek before, TODAY10 is going to get you 10% off that next order for your playoff season. So go take your phone, open the SeatGeek app, or download it if you don't have it yet. Add the code TODAY10 to your account. What in the world are you waiting for? Do it now because this offer is only available for a limited time. The code is TODAY10 for 10% off your next order. All right, finally, we're going to run through a bunch of kind of special moments that happened over the weekend as well. Reason I'm wearing a Colorado Rockies hat, goodbye to Chuck Nasty. Got to run out by himself. I thought that was kind of cool. He got to say goodbye to the Coors Field crowd. I like that, didn't you?
Of course. Yeah, no, this is great. And what kind of emotions are like running through his body at that point? Understand it's the last time you're ever going to do that.
Now, is this
Kind of
part
gets me
true?
emotional.
Did you see this? That he got a single, I want to say, in the third inning, and they pulled him because they wanted him to get one last time to wave to the
Oh, I
crowd,
love
right?
it.
Except, I believe he finished one plate appearance shy of 500, which would have been another $500,000 bonus.
They probably worked it out where they gave it to him.
Well,
do
they
that
also gave him
sometimes.
the truck that was out there in like left center field, and they put his number 19 on, I think, on the hood of the car or on the top
They
of the
probably,
car.
yeah, they probably worked that out beforehand. They said, "Hey, obviously you're going to get there, but if we pull you," they probably worked that out.
Yeah,
I hope.
We'll give you $250. We'll pull you, save $250,000.
And some my way, Chuck.
Chuck Nasty, you want to guess? I looked it up at NFL Network. We were having a discussion about him. How much money he made? Want to guess?
Ooh. Okay. Played for a while too. Big contract.
14 years.
123 million.
That's a good guess. 138 and change.
Damn.
Goodbye to Kyle Hendricks, Chicago Cubs. Last time in front of the Wrigley faithful, probably wearing that uniform. He is the last link to their 2016 World Series championship team. This was, I thought this was pretty emotional, to be honest with you, because this is a dude who had to think his way to victory. I mean, what did he throw? 91, maybe?
It was, I liked facing him. Not like I love facing him because I did well against him. I'm just saying I liked, because it was a chess match. And you knew that he was thinking, and he was probably smarter than I was, for being honest. So you had to
He's
try
an
to
Ivy Leaguer.
Yeah, you had to try to. Oh, I could have been an Ivy Leaguer. No big deal. It was fun though. I like that. Good for Kyle Hendricks. That's cool.
Yeah. We talked a lot last week about the goodbye in Oakland, and that was a tearjerker left and right. But how about this? They finished their game as the Oakland A's up in Seattle. Ricky Henderson, who played for, I think, all 30 major league teams, came out in a split Oakland.
What is going on here?
Mark Kotsay's like, what the hell? And he threw out the first pitch in that. Dude, that's. I think they should have brought him out like we have with Pavel during the floorball, where he's wearing all 6 teams or 8 teams on his jersey. Ricky should have come out with like all 30 teams as one jersey.
Ricky's different. You know, I shared like a locker with Ricky when I was in Oakland.
What?
You know, I was a veteran, so they gave me this corner locker, empty locker next to it. So you see what happens. Except they're like, hey, this locker, it's yours, but sometimes Ricky Henderson uses it. I'm like, excuse me? And so like I didn't use it. Like he like kept his stuff. He had his own locker in our locker room. It was my extra one. And he'd come get dressed and we just sit and we would talk, and it was awesome, man.
What are the odds he knew your name?
He knew, of course he knew. I had a name tag, Chris.
Still,
you had to look at it.
I don't know, man.
If we saw each other today, he would not remember me.
Of course not.
That's facts.
Not now, but I was talking about on a day in, day out basis.
He knew who I was. We had great baseball discussions.
Well, I mean, you're familiar with the John Olerud story, aren't you?
We didn't know his name.
No, well, he played with Olerud in Toronto, and Olerud, of course, is famous for wearing the baseball helmet when he played first base because of the brain aneurysm he suffered.
Yes.
They both get up to Seattle. Olerud's playing up there now, and Ricky's like, you know what, dog? There was a guy I used to play with in Toronto who used to wear a helmet at first base, and he's like, Rick, that was me.
I swear he knew my name. I swear, people.
There's no way. No way.
We had great baseball discussions, man.
Oh, I'm sure you did. Oh, my gosh. Finally, did you see how excited the Guardians were to see Flo from the Progressive ads? She threw out the first pitch. Look at Hedgie. I mean, I don't think I've seen him this excited in forever.
Hedgie gets excited about everything. Stop it.
This is pretty cool.
You know what I want to look up? I also like Flo. I will be kind of starstruck. She's been on TV for a long time. Let's look up Flo from Progressive's career earnings.
Ooh. Do you think she gets part of like a collision settlement or something?
Dude, like she makes $8 million a year. That's what it says.
She doesn't.
I just Googled it.
Come on.
Stephanie Courtney is the real name of Flo, the Progressive insurance woman that we see over and over and over. Her salary is $8 million.
$8 million?
That's what it says.
Are you sure that's not like Wikipedia BS?
That's coming from muddyrivernews.com.
Come on, dude. You did not just say that. Muddy. And on that
I don't know.
Well, you know what? She is one of the most recognizable brands in commercials. So why
I
wouldn't
think she's funny too because she'll do the commercials where she plays a bunch of different types of flow.
Yeah.
That's called range, Chris. Look it up.
I will. Well, I'll look it up on the Muddy Rivers.
Yeah, there's a lot of different answers on the internet here. 8 million seems pretty heavy, for being honest.
Yeah, but she might be worth it. She had a great year in 2024. What were her stats with runners in scoring position?
I just actually got in a car accident. Some guy rear-ended me. He had Progressive. Not happy with Progressive right now.
Not how it's going?
No, he did not have a good policy.
Are you okay?
What does that mean?
Are you okay? I don't.
I mean, this
seem
happened
pretty
like
basic
months
question.
ago, dude. I got rear-ended. My car's in the shop. I'm trying to get it back.
Is it the nice one you always pick me up in when we go to the airport?
Yeah.
Okay. I hope you feel better.
Thanks, Chris.
It's good to have you back. We missed you
What
last
a
week.
show.
We missed you.
Thanks. I miss being here. I had a great time camping with my family. That
That's
was very
awesome.
nice of you.
Very
to let me
important
do that. Now I'm ready to go every day.
Yeah.
It's the playoffs. Look at me, just raring to go.
Yeah, I know. We can't wait. We've got our full wild card preview show coming out on Tuesday. We cannot wait. Best of luck to Braves fans, Mets fans, and Diamondbacks fans. I wish we could say we're rooting for all of you, but somebody's going to go home pissed. So just hang in there. We'll break it all down on Tuesday's show. We cannot wait. For our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, the uber-talented Trevor Plouffe, who, according to him, Flo makes $8 million a year from Progressive. I am Chris Rose. We will see you Tuesday here on Baseball Today, presented to you by Booking.com.